I mean, a lot of our listeners are physiatrists, and I see the dynamic between speech therapy and pulmonology team. What are some things that the physiatrist team can kind of help through the process?
That's a good question. There's so many modalities that we're trying to sort of fit in, and so we want to work on the speech. As you said, there's some times that are better than others, but respiratory is going to follow through the whole conduit. So I know early on we sort of struggled to say, hey, these people have respiratory needs. Like, we actually made time where respiratory interacts with the patient, and then the physiatrist is sort of the captain of the ship that's trying to guide all of these therapies together. So that's where you guys come into play, I would say. Is there one piece of the care that's falling behind? Can we spend more time on that piece? That's where we have to work together as a team.
I think that's very well stated. Doug is the captain of the ship. Our physiatrist.
And physiatrists work with teams because we can't do anything by ourselves.
Yes. We love our teams.
It does get so tricky, though, as someone on the floor treating, when you have a lot of these patients have consults with ENT, pulmonary, respiratory, and we really do need someone who is connecting all of the dots and communicating the one messaging to all of us, so we're not all getting separate messages.
Sometimes it's a matter of determining, what are the priorities right now? What are the priorities a couple of weeks later? And that may be different for each patient. I want to ask, because any discussion, I always ask, well, how does it relate to peds? Because that's what I do. And Kate, you and I have worked a lot on pediatric patients. Are there any specific differences? Are the concepts the same in little kids?
If we're thinking about like the peds patients that we see in rehab, which let's just say no one under the age of, maybe we'll just say like 5 and up for right now. Transition from evidence into practice is the same old story for the speech pathology world. Is it takes 10 years to transition to the adult population, and then it feels like it takes another 10 to 20 to translate into the pediatric side of things. So from my experience being the pediatric SLP here and navigating this very similar process 5 years later with our pediatric pulmonologists and physiatrists, I would say same growing pains, but very similar outcomes. So if we're following the same thought process of, okay, stable, healthy-ish lungs, right? We don't want the lungs to be too sick on the vent, the right mode of ventilation compared, and then moving forward, we're going to do the instrumental swallow study, make sure everything's clear, they're safe from that perspective, and then work with the team on really titrating up the amount that they're eating and drinking. I think we're running these numbers at DeVos. I have some amazing colleagues over there that are doing a research study specifically on pediatrics in eating and drinking on vents right now, actually. But off the top of my head, we've helped 3 go from NPO to PO successfully just in the last 2 years. So that's huge for us.
Quality of life improvement.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a social thing, like you said. Everybody sits down and eats together, and if you're just left out by yourself, it takes a huge quality of life.